The Fog on River Road, Part 1. The Road That Sleeps Under the Mist. The fog had settled early that night, thick, heavy, and strangely warm, as though it were not made of air at all, but of breath. Slow breath, steady breath, breath that belonged to something waiting on the other side of vision. River Road was nearly silent, the kind of silence that folds around a person, soft at first, then tighter, until even the sound of one's own heartbeat feels too loud. Elias drove with both hands on the wheel, his headlights carving narrow tunnels through the rolling mist. The rest of the world, the trees, the river, the empty sky, had vanished behind layers of pale gray. He had traveled this road hundreds of times, but that night it felt unfamiliar, as though the fog had rearranged it while no one was looking. The radio was off, not because he had turned it off, but somewhere along the way, the signal had vanished. Nothing but static, soft, whispering static. So he drove in silence, the kind of silence that presses against the windows, that fills the cabin slowly, that makes the cabin feel smaller and smaller and smaller. He checked the clock, 11:47 p.m. Still early, but the night felt older than it should have. Older and somehow expectant. A shadow drifted across the road ahead. Not the shadow of a tree or an animal or anything he recognized, just a mild thickening of the fog, a faint shift in its texture, like a ripple passing through water. Elias slowed slightly, leaning forward and squinting into the pale curtain ahead. The ripple faded, then returned, then grew. Something was there, not visible, not clear, but present. He turned down the music volume, even though it was already at zero. Another ripple, this time accompanied by a shape, a soft outline, faded, human-like, standing too still to be alive. Elias whispered to himself, barely moving his lips. Someone's there. But the fog did not respond. It only shifted, curling inward, thickening around the silhouette until the outline sharpened, just enough to reveal shoulders, a tilt of a head, and a faint suggestion of white fabric hanging loosely, as though underwater. He pressed the brake. The car slowed. The mist outside his window thickened like smoke. When he blinked, the figure was gone. Not faded, not stepped away. Gone, as though it had never been there at all. A breath escaped him involuntarily. He didn't know he had been holding it. The fog flowed back into the space where the figure had stood, closing the gap, like a wound sealing shut. He let the car roll forward slowly, eyes wide, hands trembling slightly on the wheel. The road stretched ahead, empty, soundless, as though waiting for him to continue. But something tugged at him, a small, cold instinct deep in the spine, whispering, "Don't go forward, not yet." He stopped the car completely this time, cracked the window, listened. Nothing. Then, a sound. soft, hushed, a gentle tapping on the passenger side window. Tap, tap, tap. He froze. His breath sank into his lungs and refused to rise. The fog pressed against the windows. Every droplet sliding down the glass moved too slowly, as if gravity itself was hesitating. Tap, tap, tap. He turned his head inch by inch, as though any sudden motion might disturb whatever waited outside. The window was pale with mist, opaque, but there, in the middle of it all, a faint outline of a handprint appeared. Not fully, not clearly, just the soft curve of fingers pressing from the outside, as though testing the glass. Elias's lips parted, unable to form a word, unable to breathe. The handprint slowly slid downward, and then it vanished. He squeezed the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. The fog outside thickened again, settling back into a calm, even blanket, as if nothing had touched the glass at all. He swallowed hard, started the engine again, but the fog wasn't done. Not yet. The road stretched ahead like a quiet ribbon, disappearing into the fog as though it were being swallowed, one silent meter at a time. Elias drove slowly, almost drifting, as if the car itself wanted to move softer, gentler, so it would not disturb whatever lived within the mist. Each breath inside the cabin felt louder than it should have been. Even the soft hum of the engine seemed to hesitate, as though unsure whether it wanted to continue. He tried to calm himself, telling his thoughts to settle, to breathe, to focus on the road and nothing else. But the fog had other plans. It thickened again, not naturally, not randomly, but with deliberate intention, like curtains being drawn, like something preparing a stage. And then he saw him, a man, standing on the right side of the road, motionless, facing the car, but with his head slightly tilted, as though he were listening long before Elias arrived. Elias pressed the brake gently. The car slowed, its headlights brushing over the stranger's coat and revealing a dark, soaked fabric clinging to a thin frame. The man didn't lift a hand, didn't wave, didn't ask for help. He just stood there, perfectly still, like a statue carved out of fog. Elias lowered the window just a few centimeters. Cold, damp air drifted in, carrying with it a faint metallic smell that made his skin prickle. "Sir?" His voice was soft, barely more than a breath. The man didn't move. Elias leaned forward a little. The fog around the stranger's feet coiled upward slowly, curling around his legs, almost like it was holding him in place. "Do you need help?" The question floated out and dissolved instantly. And then the man spoke. But his lips never parted, his chest never rose, his body remained perfectly still. The voice simply appeared inside the fog, inside the car, inside Elias's ears. "You stopped for her," the voice said, calm, slow, as though speaking from a great distance. Elias's hands tightened on the wheel. The man leaned forward by only 1 inch, just one, but enough to reveal that his face was not fully a face. The features were blurred, softened, as though shaped from wet clay that had not fully dried. "You saw her tonight," the voice continued, each word dragging through the fog with heavy softness. Elias opened his mouth, but no explanation came out, only a thin, trembling breath. The man took another small step forward, his feet making no sound on the damp asphalt. The fog rose higher around him, covering his knees, then his waist, as though lifting him slowly. "You must not speak to her," the voice whispered, "not when she calls your name." Elias felt the inside of the car grow colder, the steering wheel chilled beneath his palms. I didn't," he cracked. The man tilted his head a little more sharply. The blurred outline of his mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile if it hadn't felt so empty. "She knows you now." A long pause followed. "You listened. She hears those who listen." The fog behind the man shifted, a slow, rising swell, like something enormous moving beneath its surface. Elias felt his heartbeat pound against his ribs. He reached for the window button, trying to close it, but just before the glass rose fully, the man leaned close, enough for his breath, cold, impossibly cold, to drift into the car. His final whisper slid into Elias's ear like a blade wrapped in silk. "She's waiting ahead." And then he vanished. No fading, no dissolving, no step backward, just gone, as though the fog had inhaled deeply and swallowed him whole. Elias slammed the window shut, started the car, and drove forward as the fog folded back into place behind him. But the whisper lingered, soft, persistent, curled in the corners of the cabin. Waiting. The road narrowed as Elias drove deeper into the fog, as though the world itself were folding inward, shrinking softly, quietly, until only the thin strip of pavement beneath his wheels remained real. Everything else, the sky, the trees, the river, had dissolved entirely. Even time felt different. Moments stretched and softened, like warm wax beginning to melt. He kept both hands on the wheel, but he no longer felt the wheel beneath his palms, only the cold, a slow, creeping cold that slid over his skin, as though the fog outside was reaching through the windows, finger by finger. His headlights pushed forward, but the mist swallowed them almost instantly. The beams glowed only a few short meters ahead before fading into white nothingness. Elias leaned forward, squinting, trying to find the familiar curves of the road, but the fog thickened. It thickened the way a breath does when someone is standing close behind you, warm at first, then cold, and then unmistakably present. The car's radio flickered on by itself. No static, no music, just a soft, rhythmic hum, barely audible, as though the speakers were vibrating with a heartbeat far away. Elias swallowed, feeling his throat tighten. "Not again," he whispered to no one. The hum deepened, slowed, became almost like a voice trying to form its first word. And then the fog outside pulsed, a gentle, steady throb that matched the hum coming from the speakers. Elias reached for the radio dial, his fingers shaking, but before he could touch it, a voice rose from the hum, soft, breathless, almost tender. "Elias." He froze. His hand hovered in the air, as though the rest of his body had turned to glass. The voice slipped gently through the speakers, each syllable wrapped in mist. "You shouldn't drive alone tonight." Elias shut his eyes for a moment, hoping the voice would fade the way dreams do upon waking. But when he opened them, the fog outside the windshield shifted, not randomly, not naturally. It parted, just for a moment, just long enough to reveal a shape standing in the road ahead. A woman, the same woman from before. White dress, stillness, a faint glow around her outline, as though the fog itself were rising from her skin. Elias slammed the brakes. The car jolted, tires sliding on damp asphalt until it came to a trembling stop. The woman did not move, not a step, not a breath. Her head tilted slightly, to the left, the same way the man's had minutes earlier. The voice in the speakers whispered again, "She's closer now." Elias looked from the windshield to the radio and back again. His breath fogged the air as he whispered, "What do you want from me?" The answer came instantly, as though the fog itself had been waiting for him to ask. "We want you to see." The woman took a step forward, slow, fluid, silent. The fog shifted with her, rippling outward like fabric pulled across a sheet of glass. Elias's heart pounded inside his chest, each beat sharp, electric. "Please?" he whispered, though he didn't know whether he was begging her, or the fog, or the voice inside the car. The woman moved closer. Her outline grew sharper, but her face remained hidden, blurred by the thick air, as though the world refused to let him see her fully. Then she lifted her hand, a small motion, barely a motion at all, but the fog responded instantly, curling upward, coiling around her fingers like obedient smoke. Her voice, the same soft voice from the radio, now filled the entire car. "You heard me earlier, and once someone hears me..." The fog pressed against the windshield, its surface trembling slightly, as though something pushed from the other side. "I'm not done with you." The final whisper lingered long after the woman's silhouette began to fade back into the mist, long after her outline dissolved, long after she disappeared completely. Elias sat frozen in his seat, unable to breathe, unable to move, listening to the last trace of her voice curl softly through the speakers. Elias kept driving, not quickly, not confidently, but the way a person walks through a dark hallway, with their hand brushing the wall, hoping to find a door before something else finds them. The road curved gently to the left. He recognized this turn. It led toward the old bridge. crossing, built of steel and wood, hovering above the restless river that whispered unseen beneath the fog. But tonight, the river's whisper was louder, almost like breathing. The fog thickened at the edges of the road, gathering itself like a great pale cloak drawn toward the bridge. The air grew heavier, warmer, almost humid, like the inside of a mouth. Elias slowed the car as the first beams of the bridge appeared through the mist. Metal pillars rose on both sides, vanishing into the fog, as though they were teeth of something enormous, waiting patiently in the dark. The car rolled forward. The tires thudded softly over the uneven planks. Each sound echoed strangely, stretching out longer than it should, as if swallowed and returned by something hiding underneath. Elias leaned forward, trying to see the other end of the bridge, but there was only fog, a thick curtain of white that hid everything beyond the next few meters. His breath trembled. Halfway across, the radio flickered again. A soft hum, a gentle pulse, a rhythm, slow, deep, like a heartbeat. Except it wasn't his, and it wasn't the car's. It was the bridge. A slow, steady vibration passed through the steering wheel, through the floor, through the seat, into his spine. It felt like the entire structure was alive beneath him, breathing, waiting. "Please," he whispered, unsure to whom he was speaking. Then the fog ahead of the car began to move, not drifting, not swirling, but parting, as though something was walking through it from the other side. A figure emerged, slowly, quietly. A man, not the same as before. This one was taller, thinner, and his clothes looked soaked, as though he had just climbed out of the river. He stopped in the middle of the bridge, blocking the road completely. His head hung forward, tilted slightly, as though listening to the sound of the river below. Elias's chest tightened, his fingers hovered over the gear shift. The man lifted his hand, this time pointing behind Elias, a slow, deliberate gesture. Elias turned, his breath catching in his throat. The back window was white with fog, dense, solid, like a cloud pressed against the car. And then, through that thick white sheet, a faint outline appeared. A woman's silhouette, white dress, stillness, standing directly behind the car. Close enough that her handprint began to form slowly on the glass. The man's voice echoed softly, sadly, as though the words cost him something. "It's too late to go back." The fog pressed against the rear window with a strange, quiet determination, as if it were not drifting naturally, but leaning inward, trying to enter the car one breath at a time. The handprint on the glass grew clearer, more defined. 5 long fingers, a narrow palm, and the faintest suggestion of movement beneath the skin of the mist. Elias's breath quickened, but the rest of his body froze, as though the cold had reached inside his lungs and wrapped itself around his heart. The man on the bridge, the one half-shaped by fog, lowered his hand slowly, as if releasing a weight he had carried for too long. "She called you once," the voice murmured, slipping through the radio like a sigh carried by wind. "And those she calls, she never forgets." Elias gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles went white. "I don't know her," he whispered, barely able to force the words out. The man shook his head gently, a soft, mournful motion that made the fog around him tremble. "You knew her once," he replied, "not with your eyes, but with your fear." The fog behind the car shifted again, not sliding, not drifting, but rising. The silhouette of the woman became clearer, sharp enough that Elias could see the faint outline of her hair drifting upwards as though underwater. Her head tilted slowly to match exact the angle the man had tilted his own. They were the same, or connected, or reflections of something deeper and older. A soft knock echoed from the back window, then another, then a third, slow, almost careful, as though she was testing the glass, trying to feel the warmth of the person inside. Elias shut his eyes tightly. "Please," he whispered, "please stop." The man's voice drifted through the mist, gentle as falling ash. "She doesn't want to harm you, Elias." A pause, a breath. "But she does want you to see." The fog thickened in front of the car. It rose in slow spirals, curling upward until it formed shapes, faint, trembling shapes, like shadows caught in a soft white net. One shape, two, three. People, not living ones, not fully, but impressions, echoes, faces half remembered by the fog. Each figure stood silently in the mist, their features blurred, their bodies partially formed from drifting wisps of white. "You're seeing what the road remembers," the man whispered. "Everyone who stopped here, everyone who heard her, everyone who answered." Elias felt a chill run down his spine, slow and sharp. His shaking fingers brushed the gear shift. "I don't want to be here," he whispered. "You already are," the voice replied, "and you have been longer than you think." The fog pulsed, a slow, heavy throb, like a heartbeat. Then the back window cracked, a thin line, small, barely visible, but real. The handprint pressed harder, the fingers splaying slightly, as though the woman behind the car
was trying to open the glass like a door. Elias's breath broke into fragments. He shifted the car into drive, his foot trembling on the pedal. But the man on the bridge held up his hand again. This time, it was not a gesture to stop. It was a gesture of warning. "If you drive now," he said softly, "she will follow you." Elias swallowed hard. His throat felt tight. "What should I do?" His voice cracked on the final word. The man slowly pointed downward, toward the floor of the bridge, toward the boards beneath the car, toward the river below. "There is something beneath this bridge that she wants you to hear." The fog stirred, the river's whisper deepened, and faintly, very faintly, a voice rose from below, a woman's voice calling his name. "Elias." The sound slid upward through the wooden planks, through the steel beams, through the cold air, gentle, familiar, and unbearably close. Elias turned toward the floor of the car, as if the voice was rising straight toward him. And then he heard the rest of the message. "Come down. I've been waiting."
The voice rose again from beneath the old wooden boards, so soft at first that Elias almost doubted he'd heard it. But then it came again, a gentle, trembling whisper that curled through the floor of the car and traced itself along the edges of his spine. "Elias." He closed his eyes, but the darkness behind his eyelids looked no different from the fog that surrounded the bridge, white, shifting, endless. The crack on the rear window deepened. Another thin line branched off from the first, like a vein stretching across glass skin. The hand behind the car pressed again, slow, steady, patient. He forced his gaze downward, toward the trembling planks beneath the car, toward the sound of the river far below. The old bridge seemed to breathe, its wooden beams expanding and contracting, as though something underneath was inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. The fog outside dimmed. A low vibration traveled through the metal frame of the car, up his legs, into his chest. He held his breath. The voice rose again, clearer this time. "Come down, just a little." The man on the bridge, the blurred, pale figure, watched Elias with a sorrowful stillness. "You don't have to listen," he said gently, "but she will keep calling until you do." Elias shook his head, but the gesture was weak, half-formed. "I don't know her," he whispered. "She knows you," the man replied softly. "She remembers every name she ever called." The boards beneath the car creaked, slowly, as though a hand was pushing upward from below. Fog seeped between the cracks, curling into the air like pale fingers reaching for light. Elias opened the door, not because he wanted to, but because his hand moved without asking him, as if the fog had taken hold of his muscles and guided them one by one. The cold air hit him immediately, wrapping around him in soft, heavy folds. He stepped out onto the bridge, his shoes pressed into the damp wood, and the entire structure seemed to react. A quiet groan, a slow
shudder, a whisper of shifting weight. The fog thickened behind him, and when he glanced over his shoulder, the woman's silhouette stood only inches from the car. Her hand rested lightly on the cracked glass. She was watching him. Even without a visible face, Elias could feel her attention like a hand pressing softly between his shoulder blades. He turned away, unable to hold her shape in his vision for long. Where am I supposed to go? He asked the man. The figure pointed to the side of the bridge, toward the railing, toward the edge, toward the darkness where the fog curled downward into the abyss below. Down, the man whispered, where she remembers. Elias approached the railing, each step measured, shaking, soundless on the damp wood. The fog parted slightly, revealing the faint outline of a narrow staircase leading beneath the bridge. The stairs were old, half rotten, barely held together by rusted nails and the weight of forgotten years. Yet they were visible, real, waiting. He grabbed the railing with both hands and began to descend. The fog followed him downward, wrapping around his shoulders, filling the space between each step and drifting into his lungs with every cautious breath. When he reached the lower platform, the sound of the river grew louder, not from rushing water, but from a voice that echoed through the dark, a woman's voice, slow, calm, warm even. Elias. The fog beneath the bridge swirled, forming shapes that never fully solidified. Faces, hands, shadows of things half remembered and half forgotten. He stepped closer to the source of the voice, a small wooden landing just above the black water. The fog parted, and then she stood there. Her form was clearer now, a long white dress, heavy with moisture, hair that floated gently as though underwater, and a face, not blurred this time, but soft, gentle, almost peaceful. She smiled. You finally came. Elias stumbled backward, his breath catching. Who are you? He whispered. The woman stepped toward him, bare feet silent on the wooden planks. I am the one you heard, she said softly. I am the one who called your name the first time you drove this road. Elias shook his head. But I've never heard you before tonight. Her smile deepened, a sad, tired smile that did not reach her eyes. You did. You just didn't remember. The fog around her pulsed, small waves rising and falling in perfect rhythm with her words. I have always been here, Elias, waiting for the moment you would listen again. He backed up, but the fog blocked his retreat, a soft, silent wall behind him. I don't belong here, he whispered. But you do, she replied gently. You came back to me.
The woman lifted her hand, palm facing upward, as if offering Elias something he could not yet see. The fog followed the gesture, coiling around her wrist, drifting along her arm like obedient silk. In the mist, more shapes began to form, slowly, patiently, like memories rising from forgotten depths. Faces emerged, some clear, some blurred, some just like you. Elias stepped back until his shoulders pressed against the cold fog behind him. I didn't answer, he said weakly. I never said anything. A soft laugh, gentle, light, yet chilling in its calmness, escaped her lips. You listened, she replied. That is the same. The fog around them thickened, its movements slower now, almost hypnotic. A figure stepped from the mist, a man with a soaked coat dripping water onto the boards. His eyes were empty, but his posture was calm, untroubled. Another figure followed, a young woman with tangled hair, her hand dragging across the railing as though she remembered the touch of it, long after the world forgot her. One by one, they emerged, a quiet procession of lost voices, their shapes woven from fog and memory. Elias trembled. What do you want from me? He asked. The woman's gaze softened. Nothing you have already given. She stepped closer, so close he could feel the chill of her presence settling against his skin. You have been hearing me your entire life. Each time you paused on this road, each time you felt a chill, each time the fog grew thicker, I was calling. Elias's throat tightened. Why me? She tilted her head, the same gentle tilt shared by the others who had appeared. Because you listened. Because you always listened. She lifted her other hand, slowly, gracefully, and the fog beneath the bridge rose with it, revealing the dark water below. In the reflection, Elias saw not just himself, but the faint outline of someone standing behind him, a child. His younger self, small, afraid, listening to a voice he couldn't understand. The reflection rippled, shifted, revealed a memory he had long forgotten. A night years ago, standing on this very road, lost in the fog, hearing a soft voice whisper his name from somewhere unseen. You came back, the woman whispered. You always return to those who call you first. Elias shook his head desperately. I'm leaving, he said, though the conviction in his voice was fragile, a thin thread ready to snap. The woman smiled with gentle sadness. No, Elias, you came here because part of you remembered, part of you wanted to understand, part of you wanted to finish what began long ago. The fog coiled around him, ankles, tightening softly, almost affectionately. The other figures watched in silence, not threatening, not hostile, just patient, waiting. You don't have to stay, the woman whispered. But if you leave, you will hear me again, every night, every dream, every moment the fog touches your memory. She extended her hand. Or you can stay and finally rest.
The fog around him pulsed, a cold, soft heartbeat. Elias closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the river, the fog, the voices, the truth. He had heard her before, long before tonight, long before he understood. He opened his eyes slowly, and the woman waited.
Elias stood on the lower platform beneath the bridge, fog curling around his legs, drifting across his skin with a softness that felt almost like hands, gentle, cool, patient. The woman in white waited only a few steps away. Her shape glowed faintly in the dim, shifting light, her hair floating around her shoulders as though suspended in water. The river murmured below, its voice blending with hers, becoming a single, slow whisper that filled the air around him. "You're tired," she said softly, "more tired than you know." Elias swallowed, feeling the truth in her words press lightly against his chest. He was tired, not just from the night, but from years of unease, of nameless tension, of waking without understanding why his heart raced or why certain memories felt incomplete. "I want to go home," he whispered, though even as he said it, the idea of home felt distant, blurred by the fog within his own mind. "You can," she replied, "if you choose to forget." He blinked. Forget what? A gentle smile touched her lips, a smile filled with something ancient, something almost compassionate. "Me." She stepped closer. Her bare feet made no sound. Her dress moved without wind. Her presence filled the space around him with a calm that was both comforting and deeply unsettling. "You climb those stairs," she whispered, "and drive away. The fog will let you go, but only if you forget what you heard tonight." He looked over his shoulder. The figures behind him, the quiet watchers made of mist, remained still, not threatening, not pleading, just witnessing. "And if I don't forget?" he asked quietly. The woman's expression softened further. "Then you stay, not as they did, lost and wandering, but as one who understands, as one who sees the fog for what it really is." Elias felt a tremor pass through him. "What is it?" he whispered. The fog pulsed gently, as though answering with breath. "It is memory," she murmured. "It is every voice that was never heard, every name that was never answered, every fear left alone in the dark." Her fingertips brushed the air near his cheek, not touching him, just close enough that the air grew colder. "I'm part of it, and so are they." She nodded toward the silent figures. "And so, too, could you be." Elias looked down at the river. Its surface was black, still,
reflecting nothing but fog and darkness. Yet beneath that black surface, something shimmered, a faint light, pale and wavering, like a memory trying to surface. He stepped closer to the edge. The woman did not move to stop him. She only watched. "You're not forcing me," he said softly. "No," her voice was barely a breath. "I only call those who can hear. You came because part of you remembered." Elias felt tears prick his eyes, not of fear, but of a strange, overwhelming sadness. "I don't want to be alone," he whispered. "You aren't," she replied. "You never were." The fog thickened around them, wrapping him in cool, pale layers that felt almost like an embrace. He stood there, caught between two worlds, the damp wooden boards beneath his feet and the vast, swallowing quiet beneath the bridge. He turned toward the stairs. For a moment, he imagined walking up, back to the bridge, back to his car, back to the thin ribbon of road still waiting in the mist. He imagined the engine starting, the headlights brushing the fog, the world slowly returning to shape. He imagined forgetting the woman, forgetting the voices, forgetting the emptiness he'd carried for so long. He took one step toward the stairs. The fog tightened around him, not stopping him, but holding him gently, as if wanting to remember his outline for just one more moment. He looked back at the woman. She did not reach for him. She did not call his name. She simply waited. And in her stillness, in her patience, in the soft glow of her form and the faint trembling in her breath, Elias understood. He turned away from the stairs. He stepped toward her. The fog rose to meet him, curling around his arms, his waist, his shoulders, his throat. She extended her hand. This time, he took it. The fog swallowed the two of them slowly, not violently, not suddenly, but with the same calm, steady rhythm that the river whispered below. As the mist closed around him, Elias felt warmth, gentle, soft warmth spread through his tired bones. The figures in the fog faded one by one, as though relieved, as though grateful. The bridge creaked, the river sighed, and the night grew very still. When the fog thinned later hours, the lower platform was empty. Nothing remained but the whisper of the river and the soft impression of footprints leading into the mist. Footprints that ended abruptly where the fog remembered them last.